boy D Neal back with another reaction video, guys. Here we are with NBA The Dream Team 1992 full documentary. We're going to break this documentary down into 4 parts. Before we jump in, though, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring notification bell, get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. You guys got a favorite video suggestion, you can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Where we go?
Why do people talk about dreams so much in sports? Dream seasons, dream matchups, dream opportunities. They do it because so much of sports is about imagining what you want things to be like. If only the setting were just right.
It was one of those times none of us will ever forget.
The characters just right.
I don't know anything about Angola, but Angola's in trouble.
The timing just right.
11 Hall of Famers. I don't think you can ever do that again at no point in time.
If only it could all be the way you might have dreamed it up yourself.
Are you filming?
Yeah. Probably not. That's a lot of Hall of
That was the
Famers.
most exhilarating 15 seconds of my life.
People perceived us as being superheroes.
Please, Michael Jordan!
No Isaiah Thomas stuff.
Question.
Cool.
We became a team, and that team just stomped on everybody.
Crazy.
This never happened in sports. Nowhere.
Well, I figured eventually there'd be a movie made about the Dream Team.
This group may well be the greatest team ever assembled in the history of team sports.
That's the Avengers right there. The Dream Team.
God bless you, and God bless America.
20 years can go by pretty fast, and the world
Facts.
isn't going to stop and wait for you to remember what it used to look like. 1992 was a time of change. New faces in America quickly transforming into cultural icons. None more so than the superstars of the NBA.
The Bulls have repeated. Let the party begin.
After the legends of the 80s had lifted the league's profile to new heights, a fresh crop of players had blown the lid off.
My God.
Here's Hewitt.
Give me that.
Their talents and their charisma made them more than just basketball players.
I am not a role model.
They were a new kind of star athlete whose popularity transcended the game.
Like Mike. If I could be like Mike.
Is it the shoes?
No, Mom.
And now the very best of them awaited their brightest showcase, the world's largest athletic stage, the Olympic Games in Barcelona, Spain, even if no one truly realized the impact they would make there.
That's crazy.
It's a watershed moment in the history of sports, not just the Olympics, not just basketball. It moved the culture along.
But in 1992, not everyone was ready for them. Not everyone thought pro basketball stars had a place in the Olympics.
This kind of thing had never, ever, ever been done. So there was a lot of, poking the bear, if you will, by people in my profession. Sports journalists and journalists in general were skeptical, angry, because this wasn't the Olympic movement.
The Olympic ideal had always been about amateur competition, which meant the United States had always sent basketball teams made up of college kids. Teams that dominated for decades.
But everybody else was sending their professionals, wasn't they? So it's only right that the U.S. in turn sent their professionals to handle business. Business. But yeah.
Made up of college kids. Teams that dominated for decades. In 1972, the Soviet Union was awarded a victory over the U.S. in a controversial gold medal game.
They cheated that game.
Had won the game, but the debate still goes on.
To this day, that American team still hasn't claimed their silver medals.
I wouldn't have either. They got cheated.
But that result seemed like a fluke when the Americans got the gold in their next 2 Olympic appearances.
U.S. has its 9th gold medal.
While the U.S. celebrated, though, the rest of the world was catching up. So in 1988, when the Soviets won again, there was no talk of any fluke.
The United States goes home with a semifinal loss to the bigger, more experienced USSR team.
I was embarrassed. I know some of the guys left their medals there in the room. They didn't want to take them home. And here we are, USA on our chest, and we didn't get the job done.
Yeah,
but the amateur ideal
imagine,
had gotten muddled. While NBA players were prohibited from Olympic competition, professionals from other leagues abroad could play.
That's
if
crazy.
you played in Europe for money, you were an amateur, but if you played in the NBA for money, you were a professional. And
That
so
make no
our players
sense.
weren't eligible.
Those other countries were using pros, playing against 18, 19-year-old kids. That is really unfair.
Come on
Changing
now.
the hypocrisy, though, was a central goal of a European named Boris Stankovic, the head of FIBA, the World Basketball Federation.
He was very much intent on lifting basketball up to the highest possible level of international sports. And if the whole world knew that the very best players in the world were not participating in the Olympics, that made it a second-class event.
So in 1989,
That's
Stankovic issued a resolution to allow pros from all leagues to compete in the Olympics. But back in America, the NBA was lukewarm to the idea.
We wanted to be
really?
good partners with FIBA to grow the sport of basketball, but we weren't particularly anxious. We didn't know what it would mean. We didn't know if our players would want to do it. We didn't know what the logistics were, but the vote passed, and NBA players were eligible for the Olympics.
Now the issue wasn't about whether American pros could play, but whether the best players
play.
wanted to play.
The one guy that, that we were a little concerned about was probably Michael.
The thought back then was Michael Jordan plays 36 holes of golf 90 days during the summer. What the hell is he going to be doing playing basketball?
Every day.
I was hoping they would not ask me to participate. And I was trying to figure out a way graciously that I could decline.
You knew they was gonna ask you to play, Mike. You're Mike. You're the top guy. You're the face of the NBA. You gotta play.
A way graciously that I could decline. I'd done the Olympic thing before, and when Rod Thorne called me and asked me, I wasn't gung-ho about it.
My appeal to him was, you're the top player in the world. This is bigger than the NBA Finals. And
you gotta play.
We need you. His thing, well, who else is playing? I mean, are all the good players going to play? I'm not going to play by myself.
So Michael Jordan waited to hear more. And Rod Thorne made his next call.
It was a no-brainer for me. I was in from day one. And I figured if I jumped in first and said I wanted to play, that would get guys to want to participate as well.
I think if Magic wasn't on that team, I don't think it would have been as spectacular as it was. And to finish out our careers, that was important for both of us.
Yeah, I love it.
Once you get guys like Magic and Larry committing to the team, then all of a sudden it becomes something very, very special. Representing the USA is already a tremendous honor, but to know that you're going to be on a dream team is a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
Facts.
Magic, Bird, and David Robinson weren't alone in their pride.
They called in the big guns. We're the Navy SEALs that we had to go over there and kick butt and take names.
With those stars and the Utah Jazz tandem of John Stockton and Karl Malone, the Dream Team was starting to take shape.
God dang, look how strong Carl is, bro. God dang.
Matter if you call me last. I got the call.
I didn't feel like that I deserved to be called, but I truly wasn't going to tell them that.
I was like, yeah, I'm in. I didn't even think to say who was on the team. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Yes.
Charles Barkley's ability was never in question. But his attitude was.
God want us to win the world championship. I talked to him the other night.
Not that you're Charles. I guess he didn't want you to have boy. I guess he ain't want you. Nah, but Charles is an absolute phenomenal basketball player, Hall of Famer, first ballot, deservedly so.
If I go that far, Charles. I talked to him the other night.
I learned early in Philadelphia. It doesn't matter what I say. So from this day forward, I'm gonna say what the hell I want to say, and some people gonna like it, and some people gonna dislike it.
But after a series of incidents on and off the court, the least of the committee's concerns were about what Barkley would say.
I was asked to talk to him. He was so honored that we would even think about asking him. He convinced me that you won't have any problems with me.
Now, with the team nearly complete, Rod Thorne had enough talent secured to go back to where he started.
Representing my country was a big thing, but I think, the biggest motivation for me was now I get to spend time with some of the guys I compete against all the time.
I feel that.
Portland's Clyde Drexler rounded out the list of NBA players, while the final spot on the roster was reserved for an amateur, Duke's Christian Laettner, coming off back-to-back NCAA titles.
There's the pass to Laettner. Puts it up.
That's crazy.
In any other Olympic year, Laettner might have been the team's biggest star. But on this team, he was fine with being the last guy on the bench.
Yeah, I would be too.
I tell people this all the time, and it may shock them, but my most enjoyable year was my freshman year because they don't expect nothing from you except carry the luggage, do the laundry, and get our donuts. And that's easy. The harder thing is to be the leader.
By May of 1991, 2 months before the Olympics, the team was set. One college kid and 11 future Hall of Famers. The man charged with putting it all together was the unflappable Chuck Daly.
Okay, all set?
I'm set.
Gotta pop that collar for him, huh, Chuck?
He was the guy that looked like he owned the arena, but he would also push the broom.
His hair was beautiful. His suits were immaculate. He wanted to win, but he wanted to look good.
As the head coach of the Detroit Pistons, Daly did both, winning back-to-back championships in 1989 and 90.
The Pistons are winners and still champions of the world.
The Pistons were nicknamed the Bad Boys for their aggressive and some said dirty style of play, never more evident than in their memorable playoff battles with Michael Jordan's Bulls.
Michael on the move against Vinnie Johnson to the hoop. He is necktied.
Dang, bro, that's
Chicago.
crazy.
Had no love for each other.
So when Daly was named the Dream Team coach, many wondered how he'd handle working with the Bulls' biggest star.
I was being asked to wrestle with some demons and some issues.
But the coach was well acquainted with the task of managing personalities.
He coached the bad boys. And if you can coach those, you can coach anybody.
They ain't like them bad boys. Did nobody like them bad boys but Piston fans. No other team.
The bad boys. And if you can coach those, you can coach anybody.
One player Daly wouldn't be coaching in the Olympics, however, was his own star in Detroit, point guard Isaiah Thomas, who controversially had been left off the team's roster.
Still crazy.
No matter how much people try to say now, it was no big a deal. It was a big deal.
I talked to Isaiah at the beginning of the year about the aspect he wasn't on the team, and he was not comfortable with it. I'm sure he is very hurt. He's a very deserving player, but he was not selected.
Thomas was well on his way to a Hall of Fame career, but was also seen by many as the biggest cultivator of the bad boys image in Detroit.
And now Isaiah Thomas and Art Ryder swinging.
Isaiah was the general. He was the guy that would yap at his teammates and say, knock them on the ass, do whatever you got to do.
A beautiful backdoor pass from Pippen, and he is walloped. He knew he was going.
Oh my
I
God.
despised the way that he played the game.
Did you want him on the dream team?
No, I did not want him on the team.
Did you want him on the team?
Well, I can't speak for Michael.
You know,
I
Scotty.
don't think he wanted him on the team.
Now, there has been speculation that your icy relationship with Isaiah Thomas is the reason that he was not selected. Well, what is your reaction to that?
That was one of the stipulations put to me prior to me even committing, that Isaiah wasn't a part of the team. I was getting strong innuendos that it wasn't just, it was coming from higher places that didn't want Isaiah Thomas on the team.
Certainly, things are being pointed at me.
Mike, we know why Isaiah wasn't on the team, man. You ain't got to lie, Mike. You ain't we know you ain't like Isaiah. We know Isaiah ain't like you. Y'all had a rocky relationship. Didn't like each other. Of course, you know what I'm saying? If Dream Team said you got to have one of the two, you're taking Mike. If that means Isaiah can't play, then Isaiah can't be selected. We understand. But don't act like you ain't had nothing to do with him not being on that team.
Because of our relationship, and of course about the way that the end of the game between Detroit and Chicago ended.
We were picking the group just after the Pistons had been eliminated by the Bulls, and it was very bad timing for Isaiah. Everybody had fresh in their mind the picture of Isaiah walking off the court.
Pistons wasting no time in getting out of here. They left the bench, although there's 7 and 9/10 seconds remaining. The Pistons just left.
When the Pistons walked off the court before the final bell, I think it left a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
All right, no Isaiah Thomas stuff.
No Isaiah
Thomas questions.
Cool.
Jordan and the team were done answering questions about Isaiah. But with training camp approaching, a bigger question would need to be answered.
Hello, how you doing?
How would the 12 stars that were selected play together?
Welcome.
Training camp began on June 22nd, 1992, in La Jolla, California. And when the gym doors opened, no one was quite sure what to expect, especially the players themselves.
There's a lot of egos in one gym and on one team. Everybody wanted their form to shine and showcase why they were a part of this team.
With all these stars on the team, if it comes down to the last shot, who's going to take the shot?
Me. Everybody in the world has an ego. The only difference between us,
We
we
know
have a
Mike
reason to
was
have an
taking
ego.
a shot.
Every one of us felt like we was everybody.
And when practice started that first day, every player seemed to be trying to prove just how great they were.
God dang!
And I'm thinking, aren't we all on the same team?
Patrick go, I don't want to play with David, I want to play against him. Then you hear Michael say, I don't want to be on Magic's team, I want to play against him.
Every evaluation of Michael Jordan at that time was, he's good, but he's never Magic Johnson. In my competitive nature, I want to use every little bit that I could gather so that I can gain an advantage.
Karl Malone, he's the only guy I would even compare to myself at the power forward position. So I want to prove that I was the best power forward in the world.
Charles.
Everybody wanted to prove a point. Everybody wanted to. But that's where we're going to end it off for today, guys. We'll get to the next part tomorrow. I'm excited to jump into this documentary more. You guys got a favorite video suggestion? You can subscribe to Patreon or drop it in the comment section. Subscribe to the channel. Ring notification bell. Get a video a thumbs up so it gets suggested. Social media and Patreon are all up top. If you want to subscribe to any of it, put all the links in the description. All you got to do is hit the link. Follow me. Talk to me. Love talking to you guys. You guys are the most incredible team on YouTube. It's your boy D Neal. Out.